Hi, welcome to the third episode of Just a Judge a Girl podcast. I'm so glad that you came back again. If you're new, welcome. And first of all, I want to apologize for my voice. It may sound okay, but you might hear some cracking until the podcast finishes, because I had a really bad cold from yesterday. Actually, I had a day off yesterday because I was so sick that I couldn't, all I could do was sleeping. I was sleeping all day last night. I slept all day, literally all day, until my back hurts, if you know what I mean. You know that you've slept too much until you found out your back hurts because you've been lying all day. So anyways, I've saved my voice at work today in order to speak like this in podcast, because I was so excited to do podcast this Friday. And this is my third episode, and normally I write the topics I want to talk about in my podcast on my Notion, and the first thing that came in my mind after I finished my second episode was this topic, which is called things that used to be important but not anymore. I think one of the most amazing and beautiful part of aging and adulting is that you've finally realized that things that used to be very important to you is no longer important to you. It can be part of your realization, it can be part of growing up, it can be part of aging, literally. Like, you're not a little girl anymore, you're not a little boy anymore. And things happen in life which will change a lot of perspective that you used to have, a lot of beliefs that you used to strongly believe. And I've talked about this with my family and my friends, and I always find it beautiful to hear a lot of people's opinions and answers to this, and I want to share mine. So on my Notions, there are 4 things that I wrote down, the things that used to be important but not anymore. And first one is called looks. Well, I was also one of those teenage girls who freaked out and so pissed off when they see a little bit of acne on their cheek or jaw, wherever that is. I used to be one of that teenager who hated and ruined the whole day because of that tiny pimple and acne. And right now, I'm not young enough to have those pimples and acne anymore. I'm 27, and one of those pimples, acne, that only happens when you're a teenager. I think it's one of the rare things is nice to be a grown-up is that you don't really get those pimples again. Well, some people will do, but it is true that people kind of get to graduate from those little pimple and acne problems, because I think skin gets naturally drier and drier as you get older. Again, there's always going to be an exception. So looks, first one was acne. Well, I do also care about acne and pimple when there's a massive one. Girls, what those are. Those happens in a month, and it's really bad. But I know it's gonna get better soon. It doesn't last like a week. It only lasts like a couple of days, and now you get to know that people really don't care about you. Like, even though one of my co-workers and my friends complain about, I have this massive pimple, it's so annoying. And it's so interesting that before even they tell me, I didn't even know that they had pimple on their cheeks, that they had pimples on their jaw, wherever that is. I never knew. I never realized that they had one anyways. So if they hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known, That's how, even though that I'm their friends, I love them and I care for them, but it took me several hours, and those people had to tell me that they were struggling with the pimples. And that's, even though I'm not indifferent to them, even though I care for them, it takes me that time. And imagine those little acquaintances and those light friendships, light relationship that you're gonna have during your adulthood. Like, imagine how indifferent and uninterested they are about you. Yeah. Oh, I think I might include this one as well in my things that used to be important but not anymore list, is that now I know that people really don't give a fuck about you. They really don't care about you. They might be interested in you, but it doesn't mean they care about you. That it doesn't mean they care about you, or they, I don't know, like you. Most of the people are not just interested, they just don't care. They might be interested when you do weird stuff, of course, like if you see someone screaming or, I don't know, falling over or singing in the middle of the street, then you'll be interested. But except you doing something weird stuff, you will never be recognized unless you're like unbelievably pretty, unbelievably, don't know, like fit as a model. So except those rare exceptions, people really don't care about you. And as long as you're following the social consensus and morality, you're kind of always free to do whatever you want, because they seem like they care about you, but they don't. And it's surprising to see that even your friends or acquaintances also doesn't seem to care about you sometimes. It doesn't mean they're bad. It's just, I think human beings are modeled to only care about yourself. And we're already busy about thinking about myself and thinking about your loved ones. We're already busy with that stuff. And why would you be interested in someone that you just met, or even your co-worker? Because like, if you become adult, or even when you're a teenager, you're always kind of in a survival mode, physically and emotionally. You always have to have like a spare battery in your social life, so you can invest on yourself, so you can invest on your loving ones. And those things were the things I never knew when I was a teenager, and that really was, it was really hurtful and painful procedure for me to go through and to realize that. And I think I'm finally kind of free from people's opinion and people's objections about myself or my decisions. I just don't care anymore, except very few people like my dad or my brother, who are the ones that I love the most. And yeah, I think I'll put like number 5 on my list about things that used to be important about, and not anymore. Anyways, back to first one. So diet. Okay, we can talk about diet. I think I was that kind of girl when I was a teenager. I was that kind of girl who looked at the elevator screen. You know those kind of elevator screens that like does like a mirror, and it's very mirror like, so you can see your whole body on the wall of elevator. And I remember I always used to check my leg, because in 2010's Korean society, when it comes to women, having very skinny legs were very, very important. I was born in 1998, and in my childhood and my teenage years, during this during that era, K-pop, especially girl group, or any female artist, I think we are so obsessed with having skinny legs, like literally chopstick legs. And I remember I looked up to the girls' generation legs. They're still like incredibly skinny. I remember because they had such a skinny legs, they had to tailor their boots because normal ones doesn't fit them. And now I realize those girls had to look like that because it was their job. They are paid to look pretty. According to the looks, people will look at you or discard you. That's the entertainment life, right? But I was too young to realize that looks, when it comes to non-entertainment show, business person, it doesn't really matter. Like, yes, in a health related stuff, of course, it's really nice to have a skinny body. It's always very nice and very like ultimate goal to have like normal weight, like from the birth until you die, like health wise. But now I know, as a normal human being, it's great to have a nice body, but as long as you're healthy and you feel great, you should stand for the body and the weight of your body. As long as you're happy, like I said, as long as you're healthy, it doesn't really matter. And I really want to say to my past self, about who's really insecure about how you look and how skinny you are, how fat you are, I just want to let her know that it's as long as you're happy and as long as you're healthy, that's all great. That's the first step. And having that dream body requires a lot of work, a lot of money. And those people on that screen, they are paid to look beautiful. They are getting paid because they're beautiful. And there's no reason for you to feel insecure and so sad about how you look comparing to those people, feeling insecure with those people by comparing those people. There's nothing good in that. I want you to know that you're beautiful in your way, and being beautiful in your way and to cultivate your looks in your own style is more important. And yeah, that's what I've been feeling after decade of struggling and being insecure, struggling. And I've also realised, so second one is friends, first one was looks, right? And I was quite surprised that I wrote friends, because I used to be one of those people who was so obsessed with friendships. I remember, this is so sad, but when I was in middle school, I didn't have much of a great friend. I had a friend, but those were kind of meaningless friend. You know, those kind of friends that you kind of stick to because you don't want to be alone, because you don't want to be lonely. Because when you're a teenager, friends mean everything. Friends means everything. And I remember when I was I always used to get a shuttle bus to school. When after I'd got on the shuttle bus, all I wished for was, I wish my friends liked me today. This is so sad. But I always felt like friends didn't like me, and I don't really deserve to be liked as a friend. And I felt amazing when I felt like I had great friendship that day. Again, that's really sad, but yeah, that's how I was so obsessed with friendship. And I remember, except very few people, I was stuck. I I stick to people, I stick to friends that was so meaningless and didn't really matter to me just because didn't want to be alone. Just because I didn't want to be lonely. And I think it's because I didn't really had a true connection with my friends when I was a teenager. It was very rare. I have amazing connection after I become 20s, when I become 20s, but it's crazy because to normal people, I don't want to generalize it, but a lot of people say the true friends were the ones who were in high school. Those were the men you met in middle school, but I highly despise with that. All of my true connections, all of my true friends were those people I met in uni. And even outside of uni, I met amazing people from work. I met amazing connection from work. And I think when it comes to friendship, the more you open your heart, it attracts people that will remain in your life for a very long time, as long as you keep your mind open and your heart open. Anyways, yeah, I used to be that kid. Every morning I would talk to myself saying, I wish I was a great friend today. I wish I had a great friendship today. It sounds weird because now I don't really care, because I think one of the positive side of being adult is that you get to choose who you're going to be friend with, who you're going to be close with. Because in middle school and high school, the worst part of being middle school and high school student is that you never know, you get to choose who you're going to be friend with and you're going to be close with, like I said before. But in middle school and high school, you just have to look as if you have many friends, if you know what I mean. Even though they're not true connection, even though they're not true friends, you have to look like you have friends. Because at school, to be looked as not having friends or not having connections with people will seem as like you are a weirdo, or you are getting bullied by people. And I hated that. Like, I think in my life it was a time that I hated being alone. I really hated it, as seen as someone who doesn't have a friend, who doesn't have good connection, who doesn't look happy. But also, because you always have to stick to people that it doesn't really mean to you anything. At last, eventually you get to have no friends after all. After about 10 years, the graduation of high school and middle school, I literally have less than 10 people. All the middle school and high school friends that I keep in touch right now. And I don't feel bad about that. I just feel bad about the past me of following and sticking to people who doesn't really mean to me anything. And I just wish that my teenage self knew the true connection that you're gonna have. Those amazing people you're gonna meet in your 20s. And don't feel bad about not having good friends in your several years of middle school, high school, because nice people are coming in your life. So don't worry. And because now I feel like after I become an adult in my 20s, now I realise those people that I'm still friends with until now, the very, very few people that I met in high school, plus those amazing people that I met in uni, I'm so thankful about the fact that I figured out and how to maintain that true connection. And I'm so thankful for them to teach me an amazing connection, true connection, the empathy, the friendship, sisterhood. I'm so thankful that I got to meet those people. And I guarantee you, if you say, I don't have any good friend now, then I'm sure you're going to meet them someday in your life. And yeah, I used to be the one who was obsessed with having friends and sticking to the people that doesn't really mean anything to me. But now I have an ability and a capability to choose a nice person to be with, and not choosing someone in order to be not lonely. And it was a very natural procedure. It didn't happen like dramatically. It just happened very, very gradually. And I learned a lot of lessons from my friends, my family, and my romantic relationships, that there's no reason to stick to a person that doesn't really mean anything to me just because you're lonely. Not only with the romantic relationships, but like also with friends. Like there's no reason to stick to a person that doesn't really mean anything to me. Meaningless relationship. It is kind of hurting you in an emotional way, because you're always gonna feel empty and vague after meeting them, which is horrible. It's 100% better to invest on yourself and being willing to be alone happily and voluntarily. So yeah, I wrote friends on my second list. And 3, school title, which is interesting because I'm from South Korea, one of those countries who are obsessed with school titles. And I was one of those people who was really, really obsessed with school titles. And I used to be that student who stayed at school until 11 p.m. almost every day to study in order to go to a good school. To us, good university meant universities in Seoul. And honestly, I've been working in Seoul for a year. It's my second year now. And now I don't really see a difference, to be honest. The workplace is comprised with people from like job schools, like most prestigious school ever, and those people who only studied for a couple of years or only started school when they were like 29 or 30. So much variety when it comes to school titles, and still we're working in the same place. So at the end we just ended up with the same place, And yes, if you go to very, very prestigious school, it means a lot, and I know it's gonna guarantee some aspects in your life when it comes to certain places like works or like networking. It's gonna be a really, really great first step. But I think after I started working, I just realized that once you start working, and I know it's gonna get even worse, that the more you work, you don't really care about which school they're from, unless they're like one of the top 3 schools in Korea, or like even top 3 schools, you don't really care. Like I have friends from various places, various university titles in Korea, and they were still my friends. It doesn't really matter. I just love them as a human being. And as a person who graduated at National University in Busan, even though I always dreamed about going to university in Seoul, I'm so thankful that I got to graduate that university. I truly believe my school was brilliant, and the people I met at university was such a life changer. I truly admire people I met there and love them as a even though like I wasn't friend to every one of them, but still they inspired me about what kind of person should I be, because most of them were so hardworking and so loving. Like, they were friendly and they were hard workers, you know. And that it took me several months to realize that. Maybe I was lucky. I met great people, and I was able to study architect. And yeah, school titles. Those are This is one of the things. These are one of the things that I found it. I used to be obsessed with. I used to think it's very, very important. But now I'm kind of like, except top 3 schools, I don't really care. And it will never guarantee you. It will never guarantee your entire life. As the time goes by, like right now, you get to see a YouTube video saying Harvard graduates are still struggling to getting a job, and it will get worse because everybody's smart now. Everyone's got degrees, everyone's educated, and having a great uni title becomes like, don't know, like a medal. Like, it's important, but it's not mandatory, and it really doesn't guarantee your entire life. It's only your job to cultivate and maintain your your life. So yeah, that perspective was a big change in my life, to realize that it's not very important. But still, I'm quite happy that I got to get out of Jeju and meet a lot of people who is not from Jeju. I know that if I had stayed in Jeju, I would have stuck in the island forever. I would never know what it's like outside of this tiny island in South Korea. And I'm thankful of that. But except that, I don't know if that really matters. Like, except those special exceptions, special occasions. Now I'm like, it might give me a great cornerstone of designing my life, you know, a great first step, but still, it doesn't change the fact that it is you who's gonna cultivate your life, who's gonna work on your life. It's only me. Nobody's gonna save me. And which means a good a good university title is not gonna save me. It's not gonna change your life anymore. So yeah, those are the things that I felt. And I wrote on number 4 about worries about the future. I think the reason I wrote that is because now I'm accepting the fact that in life, literally anything can happen. Like, literally anything can happen. Any crisis, tragedy, amazing experiences, unexpectancy, anything happen. Like, literally. I used to think that my life can't be tragic. I used to think that. I thought my life's gonna be smooth, and what else can happen? But some things can happen, and tragic things happens. And there's no other way than accepting those tragics. And I learned that through my life. And to be sure about the future can be the most stupidest thing, the most stupid things ever, you know, because you really can't expect anything. All you can do is just planning. You can't accept anything. You can't expect anything. So because I know anything can happen. It can be tragic or it can be a fantasy, but still nothing can be expected. So being too worried is never gonna help. So I became like less tensioned a bit. I became more straightforward and not that fully aware about what's gonna happen next, what's next, oh my god, like how can I handle this? But now I'm like, I can do this. And I heard from the podcast today, I think it was yesterday, I heard from the podcast yesterday saying it's really important to believe that anything can happen, but I can handle this. Some things can happen, but I can handle this. I think it is one of the greatest joy in life to have, the greatest mindset to have, to telling yourself without stopping, like continuously telling yourself that I can handle this. This can happen. This can happen. Anything can happen. Any tragic can happen. But I can handle this. I can handle this. It is like a magic spell, you know? Like you keep telling yourself that no matter what happens, I can do this. I can handle this. And that mindset really helped me to go through some of the tragics and some of the unlucky stuff that happened to me. And I've gone through that, and I'm so proud of myself. And I feel so lucky that it wasn't that hurtful or it wasn't that painful as much as it destroys me. And a lot of things will happen in my life, but now I know excuse me. Now I know that no matter what happens, I'm gonna be okay. I can handle this. So yeah, this was my last lesson for this podcast. Whoever is listening to me, I want you to let you know the same lesson. No matter what happens, you're an amazing person. I know you get through this. You can handle this. So let's try at least. Okay? So yeah, this was the 3rd episode of Just a Jeju Girl podcast. And thank you so much for listening until the end. I had a bit of crack in my voice this episode as I expected, but I try my best. I will recover during this weekend, and I will keep on bringing up a nice topic to talk about. And I have several in my Notion already. I'm so looking forward to share that with you the next weeks. So let's talk next week as well. Thank you so much. Hope I can see you next week as well. Thank you. Bye.